Now, so it's happened again. I wasn't planning on it. I actually was going to get a bearded hatchet from the Ukraine, but Russia came along and that sort of plan got blown out of the water, so I ended up getting another one. Now, it's a cookery, obviously. We'll go into exactly what it is in more detail shortly. There's lots and lots of manufacturers of cookeries in Nepal, and only a few of those have a presence on the internet. So if you're in a Western country trying to get a cookery, it's difficult to know who to get it off. Now, I've decided to go with this company for numerous reasons. Now, as you know, I've got one in the past from Himalayan Imports. They make really good, really heavy duty cookery. So if you want something that will be guaranteed to not break, that's probably the option to go with. However, I think after using one that they're too big and heavy, essentially. A big guy might be able to handle the weight, but for me it's just too much to carry. Some of their blades are 1/2 an inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. They're really massive. They're still good cookeries. They're just not what I think a handy blade is. It's just too big and heavy. So then I obviously got one from Kailash Blades, my M43 Marshall. Had issues with that. I think their heat treatment is spot on, but the handle cracked on me, and the very tip disintegrated. Now, I believe that the handle cracked possibly just due to pressure change going from up in the Himalayas to sort of New Zealand low territory. Maybe that just caused the wood just to fracture, and I glued it back up and it's there, but yeah, and the tip, well, I think it was polished too much, and the polishing just at that very tip got too hot, burnt the tip, and so it disintegrated off. And I have fixed it, and I'm still happy with it. Not an issue there. Next, I got one from Tora Blades, Tora, T-O-R-A. Now their blade is fantastic. The best looking blades, I believe, out there. The sheaths are amazing. The quality, the reproduction of the just really nice, good looking blades. And I got a Mark 1 cookery from them. My personal issue, and I have seen other people on the internet have had this issue as well, is that I don't believe the heat treatment is done very well. It's done traditionally, so they take it and they take a teapot essentially with water and they pour water onto the blade and that cools it down, and that's a very traditional way of doing it, but I don't think it's the best way of doing it. The problem is that the blade is super hot, and by the time you've started to pour water on it without the blade cracking, and some of that intensity is lost before the water gets to it, so the steel starts to transform back from one state to another, and it's a little bit soft. As a wall hanger, or as not a hard use cookery, unsurpassed. And like I said, looks amazing. The sheath work, everything is really good. But there you go. And so after that, I went to Heritage Blades, and I got a blade from them. They're very good heat treatment as well. The difference there is that they use virgin steel, not leaf springs, which is what most of the manufacturers use, and they also only make blades that they have a copy of, essentially, so that they can reproduce it faithfully, and their product is really good. The one I got was a pre-World War One issue cookery, and there's some kind of debate about who made it and what it's for and the name and stuff like that. It's bigger than my other cookeries, and it came with the Carter and check mark and things, which some of them do. And it's really good as well. They like Kailash Blades, use oil as their heat treatment, not water. As such, it's very good. There's just, in my one, a couple of ripples in the blade, which I wasn't 100% thrilled about, but doesn't affect performance at all. It's still a really good, really strong looking cookery. Now, all those models that I have aside from Himalayan import one, are based on military issue. And obviously military issue cookeries are done at a cost. You kind of up the ante in the way of robustness and possibly decrease the ante in some of the other attributes of the blade. So what I've done here is I've gone sideways. I haven't gone a military version. I've got something that's been produced as a workhouse, as a general everyday user cookery. Something that the people in Nepal are likely to buy and use themselves, and that's something called Ankola. Ankola means back belly, and what that means is that there's a big fuller in the blade so that it has a groove which reduces the weight, and also when you chop something with it, it should, in theory at least, it should open that up more, so that when it cuts there's sort of a hollow so that the blade won't stick. It's supposed to be a chopper, but it's supposed to do everything as well, so interesting to see how it performs. Now, so who did I go to get one from? Well, obviously I had issues with all of them. The Tora one's fantastic looking. I tend to use my blades, so I opted not to go that way, although they have some fantastic ones. A Heritage one, I don't know that they make an Ankola. Himalayan imports, it's just too big and heavy. So Kailash blades. Now, obviously my issues with Kailash blades was that the handle chipped and the tip chipped. So for this one I have opted to not get a high polish, so it's a satin polish. That means that the blade will be slightly rougher but won't have had such an extreme polish on it, meaning less heat has been applied to it. That should preserve the edge. And the handle, this is kind of why I went with them, is that it's not wood. Now normally handle is either wood or buffalo, but Kailash blades let you do options. You can get those two wood, or you can get buffalo, or you can get micarta, or what I went for this time is a stacked leather handle. Now their sheaths aren't as good as other manufacturers, not as good as Tora, but they're perfectly adequate, and you can actually get a better sheath from them. Like you can get one made out of Western style, which doesn't really look that good to me, or you can get one made from Kydex. And I've decided that if I like this one, I'll probably do a Kydex sheath myself. And as well as stacked leather, I have got copper hardware. So I'm gonna just pop it open, pull it out, and then once I've had a chance to use it, I will obviously do a more detailed review, but it looks pretty nice from what I can see. So there is the handle. So being a leather handle, it won't chip. Obviously you need to look after it, but you know, it won't receive differential pressure changes which might affect the blade, the handle, the wood. And I just opted for copper just because I think it looks pretty. No other reason, it just looks nice. So stacked leather handle, I'll probably wax that just to preserve it. I'm not sure if it's been waxed. And then picked up a little bit of spot rust, so I'll clean that off. But yeah, there's the back fuller I'm talking about. Now this particular one is based on a historical model, quite a bit of spot rust on that actually, but that should clean all off. Made by JD Pensioner and Son. They are the people who made cookeries, a cutlery company, made cookeries out of what's now sort of Pakistan, I believe, but back then was part of India. So it's got some edge, but I think I can improve that quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to tidy this up, clean it up. Here we go. Yeah, so JD Pensioner & Co. This is based on their one. It's called a Pensioner and Collar. And yeah, I'll let you know what I think of it once I've had a chance to clean it up a little bit and use it. Actually, look, there's a very hint of discoloration in there, which could be an over polish, and there is definitely quite a bit of spot rust on it here, there, on this side in particular. Another little sort of heat blemish on there as well. It's a nice looking blade, and I will have a go at tidying it up and seeing what I can get out of it. Got a nice weight to it. Don't know what that is yet. Actually, I might be able to just test that with my coffee scale. This is what I use for measuring my coffee in the morning, but I'm pretty sure it can be used for other things as well. So according to this, $600 grams, 604 with the sheath, brings it up to $7.95. So 604 grams. Thank you. Cheers, guys.